Hi, I'm Pam East, and today I'm going to show you how to make the best and last needle tool you will ever need. Before I start, I want to give a big shout out to my dear friend and art clay senior instructor, Inez Flaw. Inez is the one that taught me this. I didn't invent this, so I want to thank Inez for showing me and for giving me permission to share it with all of you. Also, I'm going to ask, let me tell you, 10 seconds into this video, you're going to be going, oh, the light bulb is going to go on, and you're going to understand what I'm doing. But I'm going to ask you to hang with me to the end of the video because I'm going to show you some variations and how to make some specialized tools and also how to make a very special little burnisher for getting into tight places. So let's get started. Are you ready? Here we go. All right. So what you're seeing is a mechanical pencil and a pack of needles. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've got it already, right? And you probably do. But there's some finesse to this. So I've got one that's already loaded up here. And let me give you a close-up on that. Trying to find the middle is always interesting. Okay, there we go. So here's one that's already loaded up, and you can see I'm pushing the little button that would normally push out the lead, and instead it is pushing out your needle. And this is a very fine needle. That is a super close-up. I'll be showing you just how fine these needles are in a minute. But anyway, then when I'm done, I can push the button and I can push that back in, and it's retracted. And now I'm not going to poke myself on it when I reach into my tools, nor am I going to blunt it by leaving it point down in a toolbox. So it's a retractable needle tool using a mechanical pencil. This is a lovely little set that I got off of Amazon. It is Mr. Pen brand, and I really like it. It is the barrels are kind of rubbery almost. That makes them very easy to hold. They're not slippery. And this set, every color is a different size, so they're color coded. So if I want my 0.5 millimeter, I'm going to grab the pink one. And if I want my 0.9 millimeter, I'm going to grab the blue one. And you're asking yourself, why do I need all these different sizes? You may not, but they can be nice to have. And I'll talk about that. The one you're going to use the most is the 0.5. The 0.5 is your general purpose needle tool. It's super fine. You're not going to get a lot of drag. It's going to cut just like a laser through your clay, and it's going to work for probably 90% of what you want to do. The only time I would use the 0.3, which is really tiny, is if I have rolled the clay very, very thin. If I need to cut very thin clay, a thicker needle tool can cause it to drag and tear. And I find that if I use the 0.3, it'll go through that thinner clay quite nicely. 0.7, it's pretty close to the 0.5. If you just happen to have a 0.7 around and you didn't want to buy another mechanical pencil, this would work as well as the 0.5. I do like the 0.5 a little better, but this is also a good size. The 0.9, now it's really too thick to use as a needle tool. The 0.9 is going to cause a lot of furling of the clay and drag. So what I use this for, though, this is my scribe. So I'm going to push this out for a second. So there I've got my needle out, and I've got my, let me get these other ones out of my way. So here's a close-up. So here's my 0.9. I don't have it pushed out very far, and it makes a marvelous scribe. Oh my gosh. You can scribe your work so easily. I do not even have to dampen it first. With other tools that I've used, I've always had to dampen it. And this one, it is just like a breeze to sign your work. So there I signed my piece using the 0.9 millimeter needle tool. As for other pencils, this is two different kinds of Pentel. I think the Pentel are really well made. This is a good, they're very solid and there's a lot of metal. And I think that they're going to hold up really well. I really like the Pentel. The Paper Mate, probably my least favorite. It will work. It does have the advantage of the side click instead of having to come up here with your thumb. It uses a little side click mechanism. But it's a little trickier to get the needle in because inside of this there's like a little funnel. And so I had to use tweezers to get the needle down into that space and not get it on the outside of the barrel. So that is a little trickier. That's probably my least favorite right there. Let's talk about the needles. These are specialty needles. They are Betweens quilting needles. And the reason you want this particular kind of needle and not just any sewing needle is because they're very stiff. They're not going to bend and cause drag when you're pulling them through the clay. They're going to stay nice and stiff and firm for you. As you can see on the screen, I have given you what size to use with each size pencil. So my 0.5 millimeter, my favorite, I need a size 10 needle. Now, you cannot get these anywhere. You can't go to Amazon and buy these. I tried. You need to go to a specialty sewing store, and I use wawak.com, and they are, the link for that is down in the description, so you'll be able to go right to that and find the needle that you need. This is the best needle I have found for making these kinds of needle tools. So I promised if you were patient with me, I would show you how to make a very special little burnishing tool. So what happened was, when I got this set, it came with all of these and a 5th tool. And this this pencil was 2 millimeters. Do you know how thick 2 millimeters is? It is way too thick to be a needle tool. But what if I used a blunt tapestry needle? You can buy blunt tapestry needles, and then if you get it in there, you have a retractable little fine burnisher that you can get into really tight places, like inside of shadow boxes. So if I want to be inside burnishing my little tiny elephant, I have a little tiny tool to do that. The catch, of course, is not quite as straightforward as the other needle. This one has a very large eye. That eye will not fit in here at all, so it has to be cut off. And these are extremely hard needles. There are 2 ways to cut the needle. One is with a bolt cutter. So this is a bolt cutter. I've got one arm in my bench vise to hold it in place, so I can just use it one-handed. And I'm going to hold the needle so nothing goes flying. And there we go. You just one little chop and there it goes. You can cut it that way. The other way is with a separation disc using a rotary tool like a flex shaft or a Dremel. So this is a separation disc. They're very thin. You must wear a face protection. I have a face shield that I wear when I use this because they can break and things can go flying. So do wear protection. I am going to, you don't have to cut all the way through it. I'm only going to cut about halfway through, and that will make enough for me to be able to snap the rest off. They are very hard, but so you don't have to go all the way through. And then once it's scored like that, it's just going to snap apart. Now, the other thing you need to do is you need to smooth the ends. The back, whether you cut it with the bolt cutter or whether you cut it with the separation disc, it's probably going to have a little burr of some kind that is going to prevent it from feeding through properly. So I am using a silicone polishing barrel. The white is coarse and it will take off any of the burrs. I'm also using it on the point. These are blunt needles, but they're not perfectly smooth. And since I'm going to be using it as a burnisher, I can't have anything on it that will scratch the metal. So this is the white was the coarse, the black is the medium. And again, I'm going around on the tip, making sure that it's just smooth as glass, that there's nothing that's going to scratch my metal. It's only going to burnish it. I'll do the same to the back. And then I'm going to switch to the blue. It looks black, but I promise it was light blue when I started. And this is the fine polish. This is the smoothest one. So I'm getting a really almost glass-like surface on the end of that, and it's going to work great as a needle tool. So here it is, all cut and polished and ready to be made into a little burnisher. Oh, and by the way, this is a size 14 blunt tapestry needle. So that was the information you needed for that. Size 14 blunt tapestry needle. And I've got another one of these 2mm mechanical pencils. You can buy them individually. You don't need to buy a whole set to get this. If all you need is this, then just buy yourself a 2mm mechanical pencil. And this one happens to have a red lead. And then I'm holding the button down to keep it open and sliding this up in there. And voila, I have my little burnishing tool. And that's all there is to it. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make your own needle tool and that you'll get a lot of good use out of that. If you like this video or my other videos, please subscribe. I have new videos coming out all the time and you don't want to miss them. So hit that subscribe button and I will see you next time.